Welcome back to another episode of Get Real with Kacey Kasem, the podcast that goes behind the scenes of the fantasy football industry through interviews with some of your favorites in the business. Joining me for this episode is none other than Jagger May of Footballguys. In this episode, we dive headfirst into his world, exploring everything from his love for the unique settings of the Scott Fish Bowl to his passion for memes. But it doesn't stop there. Jagger takes us on a whirlwind tour of his creative process, sharing insights into his wizardry in video editing and the secrets behind his content brainstorming sessions. And as if that weren't enough, we uncover the unexpected twists and turns of his journey, from his roots in stand-up comedy to his aspirations of becoming a draft scout to where he is now. Make sure you're following Jagger on Twitter at FantasyBlueChip. Follow me on Twitter at Kacey Kasem and the podcast at GetReal_pod. Also, please check out SundayDreamersClub.com, my new fantasy football t-shirt shop with tons of designs for every fantasy football fan. Again, the site is SundayDreamersClub.com, or you can search for it on Etsy. You can find my content with South Harmon Fantasy Football, Roto Baller, and Fantasy Six Pack. This podcast is a proud member of the DAP Network. P.S. Sunday Dreamers Club and Get Real with Kacey Kasem has a contest just for you. Would you like a spot in Scott Fish Bowl 14? Would you like a free Sunday Dreamers shirt? Easy to be entered to win both. Send me a DM on Twitter at GetReal_pod, letting me know you listened to this episode and what your favorite part was. One winner will be chosen to win a spot in SFB and a free t-shirt of their choice from Sunday Dreamers Club. Contest will end Tuesday, April 30th, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. Get your entry in now. And with that, sit back, relax, and get ready to get real with Jagger May. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're going to get into it. We're going to get into the life story. Well, maybe not the life story, but we'll get a lot of stories from Jagger May right now. And I'm so happy to have you on the show because I've seen your name come across Twitter a lot, like people retweeting your stuff all the time, people that I know following you. I follow you as well, but just seeing all your stuff, I was like, got to get this dude on. So thank you for being here. It's awesome.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay, well, let's get started then, shall we? Let's find out a little bit about, the fun stuff, the growing up and your relationship with sports and all of that. How was sports in your life? How was the role that it played?
Well, I grew up on the border of Oklahoma and Arkansas. So I went to school in Oklahoma and you're in Texas, right?
Yes.
So Texas is the only state who understands how important football is over, I think, Oklahoma, maybe Alabama, in the South, right. Football is the most important thing. So for me, football's been like an uncle or a dad who I haven't always had a relationship with, but he's always there. And I love him, but if that makes sense, because I almost played football because I had to play football, and then I sucked because especially if you really understand how high school sports work. I was one of the youngest kids in my class, which means for the longest time you are the smallest kid in your class, and you suck at football or whatever. And then my sophomore year, I gained 40 pounds. Whatever, and I was a band kid, I gained 40 pounds. I think I grew 4 inches or something like that. So my dad was hell yeah, you're ready for football. And and I thought I was too, because I wanted to be more than a band kid. So I started playing. And then going to camp. So again, being from there, football's been in my bones. And I never played any other sport. I played basketball for one practice, not any good. I'm only good at organized violence. Or around it. I was really good at band, and again, my life was spent on the football field growing up until that point. And then my senior year is when I got burnt out on football and I didn't want to do it again. So I was all right. And I was state champion powerlifter, whatever. And I kind of didn't like football anymore. And then, when you go away from something for a while, you could come back to it as a fan later. And then fantasy football came in. This kind of brings everything together when me and my friends quit going to school together. So we had something to kind of do. And then again, I found my love for football, and then, and especially I'm lucky that I didn't need football to get into college, but it's weird when so much of my life is kind of this hipster artsy dude. and then like I do football for a living, because like what it means is like it's almost a little bit lonely, because like my friends don't understand what I do for a living, and they don't, and like only half of them really like football. So that's kind of what got me here. And like I've always had fantasy football, but again, if you're from the South, you get it more than anybody. If you've seen Friday Night Lights, like that was my life. So.
Okay, band kid. I was a band kid too. I played sports, but I was in band too. So I was one of those nerds that tried to be an athlete as well. What kind of instrument did you play in band?
I played anything brass but French horn. I started out trumpet and played baritone, then tuba, and then an indoor drum line. I played the tenors a little bit. That only lasted like a semester though. Like I went to a really tiny school, so like as you know how it is, like when they're gonna cut something, they're like, you don't need art. You know?
Yeah, right. That's exactly how it goes. Yep. Yeah, totally. Like I played the trombone in high school, right? So for a little bit, for a couple 2 years maybe. So like I was out there marching, and watching football, doing all that fun stuff. So I get that. Fantasy football. Okay, so how did you I know you just basically told me that, once you guys left school, got to keep in contact. How exactly did fantasy football come into your life?
One friend had always done it, and he was just like, hey, let's go to NFL.com, and like where most people start are ESPN. Those are your two gateway. Well, there's some CBS folks out there, and Yahoo, I guess there's more than that. But anyway, I digress. I remember my first pick, Tom Brady, and then we've kept this one league going for 10 years, and then it evolved into Dynasty. Because I forced it to, because I'm a bulldozer in that regard. But like, I only just quit that league. Like I finally quit that league because I love them guys, but they are way too. And I know that some of them are gonna listen. I'm not in the streets like that anymore, guys. I'm not that southern and angry anymore. Love them, so I finally quit. And then how I got I guess serious, because I just had like the one league and I was like the casual guy, was honestly only 4 or 5 years ago. It's when COVID happened, which happened, the story seemed like a tale as old as time. I hear in the fantasy community. I lost my job in marketing, and you couldn't like get a job anymore. Like indoor boy jobs, they're like, nope, like you got germs, stay out, cat type stuff. So I had to start landscaping. So and like I'm skipping a lot of in there. Like I'd done a little bit of coaching, stuff like that. So like I like knew football, and like the guys I was working with, they're like, man, you like really know football. Have you tried Dynasty? And like this is what I felt like when people say weed is a gateway drug. Like it's like not that real, but like with fantasy, it's a gateway drug. It's 100% like, oh, if you like this, now try it with this. And like, that's kind of how it like snowballed with me. And then when you don't have a lot of time and you do like football and you like strategy, numbers, and I tell everyone that football is just turn-based strategy if you really think about it. But you put all that together, they cooked me right away. So I went from like one league to like 6, like super fast. And yeah, and now I'm in, I don't want to tell.
I don't want to tell. But you know the number, right?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Like this year I didn't count. I'll count. I will count during like the beginning of the year. Right now I'm trying to be like, oh, it's just casual. I don't have a problem.
You don't have a problem. But I mean, going from redraft to dynasty, like that's such a change, because I mean, when I did it, you have to kind of just change the way you think. I mean, there are a lot of similarities between redraft and dynasty, but I mean, it's a whole different beast. We all know that. But how did dynasty become so important in your life?
It helped me pseudo live out a dream. When you're in, like, I'm going to be 32. I'm pretty sure I'm old enough to where I'm like not sure anymore.
Yeah.
But like when you're in like your early 20s and you're figuring out life, I thought I really wanted to be a draft scout. So, and like that's something like I just kind of kept doing as like a hobby. Like, guys do your March Madness brackets. I love doing my own mock drafts and seeing how wrong I was when the draft actually happened. So when when you kept doing something just for yourself like that for a year, and you're like, oh wow, all this stuff that I do that's kind of a hobby that wastes time, I can do it in a better, more efficient way. That's a hobby to waste time, like with Dynasty, like actually at least pretend that I'm um like drafting these guys for a purpose. So that's where Dynasty hooked me, and I immediately lost interest in redraft. Like immediately, like I don't care about this anymore.
I'm getting asked to be in redraft leagues now, right? At this time in the year, I'm like, sure, I guess, because it's redraft. I don't have to worry about it being Dynasty where I have to have it for a long-term thing when I'm already in, like, I feel like I'm in the set amount. But like wrapping my mind around doing redraft again, like my home leagues redraft, so I get it. But doing it with a bunch of people that are so Dynasty minded, it's going to be kind of interesting to see how that draft goes.
I know Scott Fishbowl last year, that was the first redraft that like was like a real league, not like some random 10-man office league. And you could tell I was a Dynasty guy, and it hurt me. Like you could 100% tell like I did not do so well. But what's weird is like for football guys, most of the stuff I do is redraft. So like one thing that has helped me is like now that like I do this and I make content, help other people, it's definitely like I put on my suit, my redraft suit every day. And then like when I come home to my own teams, I get to take that off, let my hair down, and just be the Dynasty degenerate that I actually am inside. So,
well, you brought up football guys, so we'll get into that. But I just want to start with kind of figuring out the journey to putting out content. Where did it go from just playing fantasy football to actually putting out content and working in this space?
Feels like Slumdog Millionaire. And by Slumdog Millionaire, it's a Slumdog I can now pay my rent. Back to like working in landscaping and like meeting football guys, like, and I mean like literal just guys who really like football. I got in a league with one of the owners at a Dynasty Football Factory. And again, I'm the dude in the sleeper group chat who will like write a diatribe or like an entire, treatise on analysis. And he's like, hey man, you ever written anything before? And I'm like, again, it's COVID. What else am I going to do? So right. I started writing for them. And, again, the style I kind of do now, like I basically do video, like I don't write anything anymore. I put that into my writing, but I actually started out like film. So like I wrote like a 2-page heckin' chonker of an article just on like Deontay Johnson. I'm like, oh wow, 4 people read that. So like maybe I should package my content a little bit better. So I just started putting my personality into it. And I did a lot of stand-up comedy. So I'm like, why don't we kind of make this writing flow like that? And with DFF, they let me do what I want. Like basically they're like, write whatever, just, what you can't do. Don't do that. And then, and then just turn in whatever. So I really got to work my chops doing that. And then, I saw TikTok happen, and I did YouTube. I used to like get drunk and do music videos. And then I did a lot of sketch comedy. Like comedies and art is like always been in like my wheelhouse. Like I went to school for film and stuff like that. So I was like, man, like TikTok's new or whatever. I only have to sit in front of the camera and do, 1 minute or 3 minutes, whatever. So I kind of shifted into that, and it kind of hit at the right time. One, I say I saw TikTok happen. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Never watched anything on there. Didn't do any dances. I just made my own stuff. So kind of carved out my own way without seeing how other people did it. And now that's basically all I do is shorts, or like I made a 7-minute video. That's extremely long for me. So.
Wow. I love it though, because I was thinking about this before you came on the show. I'm like, okay, this podcast used to be like 2 hours long, and nobody has the attention span to sit there and listen to a podcast for that long. I mean, I don't. So I just take what my experience is like and just, put it on everybody else and say, sure, that's how they feel. But I know that the short form stuff is really hitting right now. I know that's really a trend that I see a lot of people doing now, but you kind of on that in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
How did your like background in film and marketing help with putting out all that kind of content?
Help me know what looks good. And I don't mean looks good for TikTok. I always, and honestly, this is a problem with my content, because like sometimes it takes me a long time to do something because I have the exact style and look. And I know that all we talk about is a game about a game, but I take every piece of content I make serious, and I literally try to make cinema. I'm not. I know that sounds dumb, but like when I tell everyone who my biggest influences is in my style, it's like John Oliver or something like that. So I'm like, how do I do what John Oliver does, but I don't have an audience? So that's like a whole element in what I do. How do I make it internet friendly? So that's where like the meme culture comes in. And then like, again, I went to school for marketing and film. So you learn about like attention span. So like, how do I keep this audience's attention where it's not just me talking into a mic? And that's really helped me bring that in. So I tell everyone I kind of do my own thing, but I do my own thing with a process. Like sometimes I throw spaghetti at it, but like I know that the spaghetti is at least cooked all right. I'm just double checking when I do it this way. That kind of makes sense. I'll have a better analogy later.
It makes it good. So, I mean, putting out content and finding an audience, how did you go about spreading the word on what you were doing and getting more eyes and ears on the content that you were putting out?
That's probably what I do worst, I think, sometimes. Because like I think networking is exhausting. I hate social politics. And I think if you make something good enough, and SEO matters. Like and I did work in SEO. So like that part of marketing. So that does matter. I can do that. But it never was like I never did. You'll never see me putting content in a group chat for someone to retweet or share. I don't do that. I'll ask someone to look at something like, hey, like I don't care, like how do you like this editing or something like that. But a lot of that is I just put out. I'm not trying to sound like an asshole. I just try to put out good content, and I think that people will look at it. And
Yeah.
I think that has made me grow? And that's two different. There's two different perspectives. Professionally, I've grown incredibly fast from where I started to where I'm at now, and I'm incredibly lucky. That happens as well. Because I say I'm bad at networking, but networking does help. And anyone who tells you that doesn't matter is a liar. But I happen to know the right people, and I've just focused on my content. Like some people can focus on networking and make good enough content, but I wanted to make something good enough that when I showed someone, I had the confidence, not just like, oh man, that was pretty good because they like me, but oh man, this is pretty good and I can't ignore it. And that's kind of what I focused on. And it went that way. And that's why I like a metric that matters, but it doesn't, is like the fake world that is Twitter. Like that's why like I haven't cracked 4,000 followers, because I don't like try to do that or anything, like
Right.
I just try to make something that's like really, really good, and then people share it out. Like I haven't been on Twitter in like 2 days after I put out a video. That's like, I'm kind of that weirdo person. It was a big deal for me to leave my house to get kava today. Like I go to the gym and home pretty much. And then my internet life's kind of like that. Like I make memes. That is something I will say that I do try at, to be completely candid with you, that helped me grow, is memes. And that is something that is feeding me as much as anyone else. Like, all right, I think this is funny. I've saved this one clip or meme that I saw 2 weeks ago just for this moment. And then I can put it out, and then it helps you grow. That is a way. And for me now, trying to treat what I do like a business, that's what I call like my fishing lines. People will come for the memes, then they'll stay for the football content. And, so that's kind of my way. And I don't know if that's the right way. I'm sure there's a better method to grow, but I try to keep it as organic as possible. And I also think that makes me have a genuine audience. They're not the people that's going to be like, oh, well, you said you believed in Jahan Dotson. unfollow. Like, I'm not getting those people. Like, they know what I'm about, you know?
Right. Right. And I like that. That is really awesome. When you started writing and putting out content just in that form, in the form of
Yeah.
writing, did you worry about anything going into it? Was there something that like you wish you would have known sooner about putting out content like that, or was it pretty smooth sailing for you?
I wouldn't say it was smooth because you have to make tough decisions in anything in life when you make career decisions, and a lot of it was um, the people that read my stuff gave me great feedback, meaning that they liked what I did. I knew I was going in the right direction, but I finally hit the point where I didn't feel like I was growing fast enough. And I'm loyalty matters and whatnot, but I wish I would have learned to take the step and leave earlier so I could have, I would say, grow even faster, have even more opportunities. Cause like, to be honest, the writing, I don't think got me most places, even though I made good stuff, you know, but it was the video content where things happen. But if I would have like went to DLF faster or made that effort, um, quicker than I could have grown and do something as a writer, you know, because
Mhm.
because some people genuinely enjoy writing, and that, like, to be like the full well-rounded analyst, let's say like someone we got like Sigmund or even like Dave Kluge, he writes stuff like that, to be like the full well-rounded person and not just a guy who makes like shorts and reaction. I would have done better if I would have left quicker. That's not
Yeah.
me disparaging any company or anything like that, but it's learning to take yourself seriously much faster, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Got you on that. I got you on that. Well, what was your journey like going from just starting to where you are now? What was the in between there that got you to where you are now?
Um, Finally leaving DFF, I went to DLF with the first video there. And with DLF, I felt like I felt like I didn't have like a place, and then I realized what I was good at, and I wasn't able to do that because people who deservedly already had a spot, if that made
Right.
sense, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
And then Fannies and Frames kind of happened, and like that's why I said things happen to me like super fast. Like my
Yeah.
transition from like a nobody at DFF to where I am now is like within like a year. So I was at Fantasy and Frames for a while, and Jorge Edwards, what if anyone in like my middle journey, if you like think of this as a movie, who was like very good at helping me understand and navigating um, the business incredibly quickly, it was him. Cause like, uh, I don't know, like I'm just a guy who put out content, and then like now I joke, I call it game of pods. Like, you guys, anyone who listens, you know, you see it in our industry, and like, I hate social politics. I don't like doing that. So Jorge was good at saying, "Hey, here's who's honest people. Here's who's not. Here's how you should make yourself look, and here's the etiquette you should have." And even like I was only there like maybe a month or two. Even during that time, I felt like that advice that he gave me was crucial to understanding what I should do now and the decisions
Mhm.
how I should make things, because uh, it is so easy to get stuck or locked into a bad situation or a place where you're unhappy or a place where you're not learning how to make content the correct way
Mhm.
or vice versa. So like DLF was cool to get a stage and have like the tag that I, you know, write for DLF, but like in the grand scheme of things, I did very little. And then Fantasy and Frames, even though again I did very little, I am got the good advice. And then with that being said, uh, I I was building a relationship with Alfredo, talking about Star Wars of all things. You know, that's what I said. Like it was nothing football related. They needed a video editor, and I was like, okay, maybe I don't make content like consistently, and it's like I always tell everyone, it's like football. Like I'm gonna play special teams, and do a really, really good job on special teams. And then coach can give me good snaps. So like I went, they needed a video editor just for shorts. And I'm like, well, this is the one thing I'm good at. And I think I can do for someone else. I applied and got the job part-time. And that meant that I had to take less consistency, but then it worked out that I had another radio job here. And like, I live in Colorado. So for CSU, I was a radio producer. So I was like, I'm going to grind, do these two jobs, never have any time, and not make a whole lot of money because I'm making a little bit of money at this one place. So going from DLF and having fantasy and frames for even just that little bit, and then right place, right time, knowing the right person, the football guys, and having the right skill set right away. Like, that's how I got. So like when people ask about playbook, it's like, I legitimately had a skill at something new at the right time. You know?
Yeah. You love to see it though, right? Because there's all these skills that people will have that you don't know translate to the fantasy football space. You don't realize all the behind the scenes stuff that gets done and all the graphics, the videos, all of that stuff. There's got to be people doing that, obviously. So yeah, you don't realize all that stuff. So it's cool to hear that kind of journey from you with Footballguys, because Footballguys is one of those brands that like you immediately recognize in the fantasy football space. They've been around forever. Like, that's OG stuff right there. Being a part of that group and being a part of that family over there, how important has that been to you and your fantasy journey?
I would go beyond fantasy journey and say like with my personal life, it has been everything for me, because like when COVID happened, like I said, I lost my career. Like and to get a little boring just for five seconds, is like when you do SEO and marketing, when businesses shut down, the first thing that gets cut is marketing. And again, your business is like business to business. So other businesses are like, hey, I can't afford to pay you to, tweak my website around so more people look at it. So like I had to start all over. I did landscaping and then construction and like barely making it. So when I got to Footballguys and I got the radio job, I treated it serious, and then I realized that Joe Bryant is one of the few people who is as advertised, and the company is as advertised, to where like I hate adopting company culture and I am anti almost everything, but being with such genuine people, and like you said, they are established, and again, in an industry where you see people get screwed over every day. And like, I knew immediately, like not even within the industry, just working in construction, that I was in a good spot, that I would do anything. That's why I said, like, I will take 20 hours a week and go work in a restaurant or another job to get by till I can wait on my spot. So it's been everything for me. Like I've never been happier, never been more comfortable since I've been at Footballguys. So.
Hey everyone, Kacey Kasem here. I want to take a moment to tell you about Sunday Dreamers Club, my fantasy football inspired t-shirt store. If you're looking for unique, stylish, and comfortable apparel that showcases your love for fantasy football, look no further than sundaydreamersclub.com. Whether you're gearing up for the next big game, hosting a draft party, or just want to sport some awesome gear, Sunday Dreamers Club has got you covered. With a variety of designs and styles to choose from, there's something for every fantasy football fan out there. Your support means the world to me, and there are so many ways you can help me grow this new small business. Grab a shirt or two for yourself or as a gift for your fantasy football league mates, or you can spread the word to your friends and family. Every bit helps, and I truly appreciate your support. Thanks for listening, and now let's get back to the show. That's awesome. You love to hear the story of how somebody starts to where they get, and just it's great to see where you are with everything and continuing to grow with all of it. When you put out content, like how do you go about thinking about what kind of content you're going to put out?
Used to it, I would, when something came to me, I would make something. Like one of the first, I would say, successes I had in video, would be, this is completely, I'm not making the story up. It just kind of worked out. I looked at Joe Bryan's value-based drafting stat, and I compared that to running backs. And that was just something that I was like, man, running backs really don't matter as much. So I was like, I'm going to make a video about that. And then I just naturally made it funny. And like now I tend to just let the news tell me what to make. And then I talk about it in the most simplified thing. Like at the beginning of my video, I say that, like, yes, it may be, I make very reductive statements, but that's comedy. I'm generalizing, and I just want to communicate something with someone in a way that is funny. And then I give a little bit of analysis and go through that. So sometimes it comes like with the news. Sometimes I think of a joke and I have like a shell. I have blank about blank, or if this particular situation happens. So I have to sit on that for like a long time until something happens. I've saved memes for like a year because I didn't know how to use it right for that moment. And I know that's like really weird, but like that's how the sausage is made. Yeah. You know, it's like, oh, that was really funny. I was like, yeah, I didn't want to waste it. I've been saving that one. Like I have like my asset library, I have a whole terabyte that is just nothing but memes, weird clips of videos that I can use in the future and whatnot. And then again, I write it like stand-up. So some things come slow, if that makes sense. And I'm trying to, I never want to sacrifice the quality of my work, but I am trying to like introduce the quantity. So like, I made a video about the end of season and I didn't make something else new that was like my style 100%, not just me reacting or making like the usual company business that I get paid to do. What it took me to get to free agency to have something to write about, because I just like don't have the jokes. And that's like, I try to communicate. Luckily, I got very patient people. I told them, I'm like, you know, you guys hired me. You put the quarter in the jukebox. This is how it works, man. Like sometimes like I don't have anything good right now. So it's going to be kind of me, just make me do some shorts, but to make something that I consider like my free agency recap, even one reason why it took too long is it wasn't good enough. So like to tell everyone my process, it's slow. It is slow. It is as things come. I sit and write some things that doesn't happen. A lot of my best stuff comes at the gym. So like I am annoying at the gym sometimes because I'm on my phone, but it's literally because I'm trying to write a joke or write something. And I have this one working document where I just come up with ideas. And now Footballguys is letting me do other things. So I'm thinking about ads and stuff like that and other marketing things. So I have like one doc that is just an idea doc. And this would be funny. Like, for instance, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but hey, you guys listen to the pod, you guys deserve it. Is like I'm coming up with an ad for Footballguys, a French song that's like really pretentious. I want to make a black and white French short film of what it is like to get sniped in the middle of a draft. Like, I want it all in slow motion. I want to see the pain. I want it dramatic. Yeah. I heard a French song. I'm like, okay, it's by Nina Simone. I was like, I can't think of the name right now because Ne me quitte pas is what it's called. Please don't leave me in French. I was like, let me write that down. This would be funny to make a video to. That was the only idea. And then I call what it's like chewing on it. And then I like look at it. I'm like, well, how do we make this a real idea? This is a sentence. This isn't an idea. This is like a word. You know, and then I'm like, okay, well, it's in French. Let's make a French film. And then I'm like, well, let's make it an ad. And I'm like, well, how do I make it to football? I'm like, what's the most painful thing to happen to me in football? Like, and then, yep. Yeah, I got sniped on who was it? Someone stole Kyle Pitts from me. It was Gary. Gary, if you hear this, I'll never forgive you. So like, that's how that happens. So that's one way ideas happen. And once they make it to what my sheets called TikTok notes, that's just a streaming flow of thoughts on a page that I edit for like a week until I have like a stand-up set. So like I treat it like think it was Da Vinci that said, how do you make a horse? Like when he was sculpturing a horse, he said, I just take away everything that's not a horse. That's what I do with my ideas. I have just a block, and then I just whittle it down until it's something that is not just like, you know.
Yeah, for sure. How stand-up is interesting to me. I just kind of want to know, how did you get involved in that? How did that come into your life?
I started doing stand-up when I was 17, and I had to like get in and out of the back of bars. I wrote my first sketch in middle school. It was incredibly racist and inappropriate now that I think of it as an adult. But I made something about a 7-Eleven store owner, and I was like, it did a whole accent. It was like pretty terrible. But I started, enough people told me I was funny, so I just tried. And I did really well. Like most people bomb their first one. It was the opposite for me. I did really, really well. But here's where it goes wrong. When you do well, like 2 or 3 times, you're like, I'm the next Dave Chappelle. I'm a prodigy. When you actually bomb, you bomb on a bigger stage and even harder. And it's like demoralizing. So like when I finally bombed, that hurt. But yeah, I started doing it when I was 17, and you meet other comedians. And then I take everything seriously. So I've always joked that I'm like a student of comedy. I watched a lot of stand-up styles, delivery. And then I even got to the point where like, I say I'm like a comedian. I tell everyone I am a writer. I just present my writing, but I go to writing workshops all the time because like my other hobby that what I'm actually passionate about is like, I love football, whatever, but it's like fiction and comic books. So like I take every bit of that into my writing, like writing something with structure. Do I set up a joke? How do I end it? And a lot of that is just learning from other people and studying stand-up comedians. So like that worked in stand up, and I do that within like my shorts as well. So, and a lot of that is you got to just be funny. Like a lot of people, they want to tell you like a humble story, and there is humble beginnings on it, but a lot of it is like, some people are just not funny. Like you're just not funny and you're never going to make it. If you are funny and you're willing to work, then you can get somewhere. And I was funny and I was willing to work, and I just try to take that into everything.
Yeah. See, I'm always like, man, my friends laugh at all my jokes, but if I was in front of a crowd of people, I don't think people would laugh at my jokes. So I don't think I could just have rooms full of my friends. So, but you're funny. So, I mean, and it shows in all of your work and the content when you're putting out something like that. So I'm guessing that you feel comfortable in front of the camera, and you've always felt comfortable, or have you had to work with getting more comfortable behind the camera?
The camera, the hardest thing about the camera for me is like, I joke when I have the gentle autism. I have Asperger's, which means like I'm what's called like out in the open, I'm pretty fine, and I'm like really good at artsy stuff. Like if I'm like a chart, like artsy stuff is out the wazoo, but social stuff, I suck. But I find being on a stage the most lonely thing on the planet. Like it is harder for me to talk to at a party than it is on a stage. On a stage, everyone's quiet and you just got to perform. You got to do your thing. And then they're kind of reacting to you. So you just feel it. You feel the crowd. You learn to hold for the laugh before you go on your next joke, not ramble. So I've always been comfortable performing, if that makes sense. And then like it starts with marching band. Like I was in, I played football in marching band. I've been in front of crowds a long time. Like I find crowds, like being in front of a crowd, lonely, but being in the crowd is like a lot. So it's never really scared me too much. And again, the hardest thing for me is to look at the camera sometimes.
Yeah.
That's why I like being on stage. I'm just looking at, like I can't even see most of the time because of the lights, yeah. But like now I'm happy my webcam has a light. So like with you, I'm kind of talking to you, it's a little bit more casual, but like when I'm on with Alfredo, I'm like, look at the light. So,
really make eye contact with the camera. Yeah.
I hear my military dad voice because he doesn't know how to deal with like autism. It's like, make eye contact with me.
Oh, okay. So this podcast is really helpful for people who want to get started in the industry or who are just starting out, or even people that have been here for a while but just haven't really taken off the way that they want to, what kind of advice do you have for people that are just starting out that want to get out there and just don't know what they need to do to get started?
My biggest advice to start out is anyone can give you good fantasy advice. It matters as if your fantasy advice, if they can listen to it or watch it. Like, is your content digestible? Because like I find some of the smartest guys in this industry, like the smart, like sharp, like again, they do math that the moment they start talking, I zone out. But I'm like, okay, you're really good at it. And I do know enough about data that like you know what you're saying. So I trust you, but it's not digestible. And so like a lot of it is I'm not saying water down your work, but sometimes it's easier to eat a pizza one slice at a time than it is to just serve out this data or whatnot. And then like on top of that, it's anyone can talk in front of a camera, if that makes sense. Like um you can deliver lines, but like what separates like a Leonardo DiCaprio from like that one dude who you always see on different TV shows but you don't know his name, you know?
Right.
That's
I'm always on IMDb trying to figure out who's that guy. I've seen him in one episode of every show.
Exactly. There's difference from that. And like and to me, that is hard advice that some people don't want to hear. And then 2 or 3 is to be able to take criticism. Is like a lot of people, they make content for them. And I think that is important to an extent. Make content that you like, make something that you enjoy. But it is also important to understand that other people need to enjoy it. So, and that to me is like the holy trinity kind of like a joke. Alfredo has a different one, like different jargon, whatever. Mine is just like, are you interesting? Like that's the number one thing. If you're not interesting, I don't even care what you don't say. But like and I'm not saying you need to like have bells and whistles, but most people, what they don't use is their own personality. Like right. You're an interesting person. I would just like to see that in your content. Like you're worried about, an Oxford comma, just like, like just be you. I know that sounds stupid, but like a lot of people don't know what just be you means. And that means putting your personality into your content. So, and then sometimes your personality kind of sucks. And that's why you got to take some criticism sometimes. It's like, don't go on a rant about vaccinations in the middle of your content. Dial that back.
No, you shouldn't do that. I've been doing it wrong this whole entire time. My bad. Putting out content and kind of balancing putting out content. I know that's your job is putting out content, video editing, working in this fantasy football space. But how do you balance work and personal life and everything else that you got going on in your life?
Believe it or not, since I've worked full-time now, it's harder for me to balance work and home because I work from home. And when you're in it, like football, this is my first year in it. So like, I'm kind of talking to you in live action. Like I'm still 100% learning. Is like, you have to forcefully take a break. Cause like I'm learning, I'm like, it'll slow down. Sometimes. And it really doesn't slow down for real until like you got the playoffs that are slow, but that's betting. That's a whole other thing that you can do. And then you got playoff challenges, and then you have this. It's like a whole other thing. Like you got to choose what you're going to care about. I do not care about playoff challenges. I won't join your playoff eliminator league. I won't do it. That's not because I don't think it's cool. I don't think it's fun, but like I have a soon to be fiance. Like I have like dogs, cats, and like my own mental health. And then the second thing is do something that isn't your hustle. And I mean that like fantasy football has become something that was fun, and it still is fun. I'm not saying, but like it is my job now. So like I need something else that I don't try to profit from. I don't try to do anything. I don't this is just for me. And that is like the gym. I have that. Like, that's why I'm not like, again, I tell everyone, I'm not like a gym bro. You know, I'm not that guy. I do look like a gym bro when I'm at the gym, but like the gym is something I don't talk to anyone. It is just for me. And then when I come home from the gym, I have reset, if that makes sense. Like it is easier for me to like, I don't need to check this. Like, you know, everyone's on East Coast. I don't need to worry about this. I am not good enough mentally because I'm tired. It's at the end of the day to make good content, to edit and be efficient with my time. I should just go to bed. Like it's easier for me to make those decisions. So like to me, that is the most important thing is like, do something else, man. When I say go out and touch grass, go do something else. Like it doesn't have to be grass. Go build Lego. Go do, there's 1,000 things you can do, but make sure you do it for you. Make sure that you're not making any money. Let's like, if you follow me on Instagram, I do talk about football stuff. I'm mainly talking about fitness. I'm mainly talking about my diet that I hate. Here the recipes, like, hey, here's this fake caramel that kind of tastes like caramel if you close your eyes and really dream. You know?
Diets.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just being a person. You know,
yes,
I'm being a regular person
100%.
over there. Yeah. And that, like, to me, that is super important.
Yes.
And then, actually, I wanted to make sure to get this thought out on your show, and I skipped it on there. When you asked me something to make it in the industry, a lot of people ask me what it takes to be full-time, and we kind of hit on this. And I know I'm being a little ADD. I have ADD. So this is why it's like this is have a secondary skill. And what I mean is like, if you look at how Footballguys is structured, let's just look at like the main guys that like are there full time. The dynasty guys, they're not full time, even though they put out content like it's full time. And honest to God, I think what they do is harder than what we do because they put out quality content. And like Jeff's like a freaking accountant, and I don't get it. And he has like children. That's like, I just want to puke thinking about it. But like let's say like me, Alfredo, Dave, and Joey. Like I am a video editor. Alfredo like to manage something like that. He knows how to manage content. And then like Dave handles SEO and business relations. And then Joey, he does like 1,000 things. He's like HR and he handles our community and he does other stuff. So like, while we're here, this is incredibly important. Anyone can make content in this industry, but if you can't offer a secondary business skill, it is hard for you to make it. That was like the most important advice I would give anyone on the show. That's like, because it's the number one thing that people have asked me. Sorry for
I like that. I like that a lot because I know that that's what I'm aiming to do. Like I quit my job and now I'm doing this stuff. Right. And it's been such a journey so far, just in a couple of months. And it's been so exciting and I've learned a lot. And that's what I've been trying to do over these last few months is just learn as much stuff as I can, because I know that it's going to come in handy. So like anything I can, like I'm trying to get better at editing. So right now it's just audio, but you know, we're working on things and all that stuff. Just getting better at things can just be a game changer. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, like even we have a full-time customer service person. So it's like literally like people don't realize that like the fantasy industry is an industry. It is a business. There is so many people. Like most of our staff does not care about football whatsoever. You know? So like it's almost easier for you to have a secondary skill.
Yeah.
And then if you do content on top of that, it's helpful.
Right.
You know, because I was like, I think I was talking to Hutch about it, you know, because he's like, well, I make content. I'm like, Hutch, I was like, with love, you know, he's like, I think school's for suckers for the most part. I'm just like, but like, you need to go take time and learn how to do something. Like, because like another thing too, if you get fired, let's say we end up like the crypto industry and then, you know, a lot of people lose jobs. You need to go out there and like be able to do something else. So I think it's super important for people to build a secondary skill in life because you are more useful. So,
yeah. That is great advice. I'm glad that you remembered to bring that up because that's great advice. Okay, so you had brought up Scott Fish Bowl earlier, and how long have you been in the Scott Fish Bowl?
It's my first year. I did that.
Okay. Did you get to go to any lives or anything like that?
I didn't do lives this year. I'm sure I'll help Dave in Denver do that. But I'm gonna now that I'm work full time, it is like I think it's important to like give to the industry as much as possible. And like things like this, I need to take time and put myself out there. And it's not, I don't mean put myself out there for me, but like we need hands on the ground who are like responsible,
Right.
So I'm going to put out, and I have more time and resources to help with these things. So I'm definitely going to try to do a live draft and help grow this really awesome thing. Cause like people haven't heard of like me, in the fantasy industry, but they've heard of like Scott Fishbowl. Like my friends like, oh, you're in Scott Fishbowl? Like, yeah.
I'm still waiting on my friends to figure it out, but they're not into anything fantasy football for the most part, so they wouldn't know.
I feel you. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
like you're it's crazy how uncool you are in your real life compared
oh my
to
God. Right? Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. But then on top of that, I don't know if your friends are like this, but like they know that like in the fantasy football space, like people know of me, at least like some people do. And I'm not like that. But like when my friends see that people are sharing my articles, or they see that like when I go to the expo, people come up to me and say that they know me, they're like, oh my gosh, you're the coolest person ever. Right. And I'm like, bruh, I'm not that cool.
Yeah, I've only just now, like now that I get like a paycheck and like it's like real, like I've only just now, I wouldn't call it respect, but I've gotten the attention of like my peers or whatever, where they like kind of understand. And but like I even tell them I'm not like I work with Dave Kluge every day. What helps me sleep at night is that 1,000 more people hate Dave Kluge because he's way more popular.
Yeah, the bigger you get, the more hate you get. So
yeah, exactly.
Take the good with the bad. Yeah. The community on Twitter, the community outside of Twitter, because that's my problem, is like I focus so much on just X, just Twitter, and I don't branch out to other things. And you've talked about TikTok and how that's been important in your journey as well. How important is it to kind of get multiple facets on your belt, multiple channels of getting your information out to people?
Well, like anything, it's like the law of averages, like especially now, again, I work for a company like Footballguys. I have my hands on a lot of data. The difference between TikTok and Twitter and YouTube are phenomenal. So like a lot of people, where they really want to do well is YouTube, but they bring Twitter to YouTube, and that's not it. And like, I think it is very humbling to understand the difference in the vastness of the fantasy football community, that most of your people are still on ESPN in a 10-man league. They switching to PPR was like a big deal for them. Like, it was like a huge thing. So like that is the majority of people. So like to me, that is like the fantasy football equivalent of going out and touching grass. That like you guys are getting into some weeds that like don't actually like your audience that you want doesn't understand, if that makes sense.
Right.
So like I think that experience is important. On top of, yes, if you go out to more places, it is more likely that you will grow just because it's on more places. But again, just to me, it helps you package your content a little bit better. And I'm not saying that you got to water down for Twitter, but like for YouTube, let's just keep it real. Like I'm gonna this is the Get Real podcast, so I could do that.
Yeah, there you go. Boom.
Facebook is your quote unquote kind of your dumbest audience. And I'm not I'm not being, I don't mean that bad, but like they are like your 40-year-old dad who barely understands the internet, let alone anything. And then Instagram, they are you kind of second, like football, that's all just like mindless scrolling, and they're clicking likes. If they're going to respond, it's to tell you that you're ugly or they hate you. That's Instagram, and then like TikTok is, to me, Instagram liked, kind of like more people kind of care a little bit on there, but it's still pretty vanity on there. And then you got your Twitter, where there's nuance, it's mainly words, so you got genuinely smarter people on there. And then people talking about graphs. Then you got Reddit, that's a whole other animal on top of there, where like Reddit, these guys on Reddit, they are so serious about everything. And I don't mean just football. Like, don't go on Reddit if you're like if you're like a faint of heart on there. So really, to understand the layers of people and how from like just you starting on Twitter and how the audience will react at other places, I think it's crucial to grow. I hope I answered your question. That was a
No,
lot.
yeah. Half the time I don't even know what question I'm asking. If you can't tell, like they just kind of ramble for a while until I get to the point. So, and whatever. But yeah, you did. And it's interesting that you brought up like Reddit and stuff is something that like, I know us old heads are kind of like, uh, you know, Reddit. I don't ever go over there. I only go over there when I'm trying to like ask it stupid questions and they have correct answers for me. But like when I'm the fantasy football community, I know I've popped over on Reddit recently just to kind of see what's going on over there. But yeah, having those different channels, content, and knowing your audience is very important. So I'm so happy that you touched on that because we're on Twitter creating content, and like you said, I mean, you got to know what your audience is, and the 40-year-old dads in the Facebook, groups and stuff like that. You got to know who you're giving your content out to. So it is important to know your audience, and I think that's something that I have an issue with when it comes to writing. Is I don't want to sound too like basic when I'm writing, right? I don't want to, but like when I was consuming content, I kind of wanted basic. So
yeah, you kind of use. That's why I tell people. And I don't ask this question to be an asshole, even though like I've learned that it kind of sounds like it. It's like I don't have like a tone. It's just text, so I've tried to do it better. But I asked them, why does this matter? And I mean like a graph. People like someone's like, I did this, and here's this scatter plot graph, and I asked them, why should I care about this? And I'm not trying to be like, dude, I just generally like what you just made this stat up. What does it mean? How is it relevant? Like, and that's not every one of them, but like that's the general reaction that people have. So, and then another idea to help people with their content, I learned this is very corporate, but it's very right. And I learned this working briefly at the radio station. Like radio isn't like so much a thing anymore. Like you have a radio station and then they own like a website that pumps out clickbait garbage or something like that, and little clickbait articles. Like when you scroll through Facebook and you see something about like a squirrel in your hometown, probably a company like I work to like wrote that, but it's like they call it 360 content. And I'm like, wow, this is good if you made good content about it. And that is your video audience, especially, like I think that's your shortest attention span and they want it the easiest. Or like your Instagram audience, you want to keep it surface level. And if you want to offer context, that's why you've written an article. And if you've written an article first, you've already done all your research and it's right there. And all you can do is just reference your article. And then that's what's called 360 content. Like you have this, if you want it like this, then if you want some more, you can go here. And if you want even more, you can go here. So like what we try to do at Footballguys is like, we keep our YouTube shows 30 minutes, like, so it's not like you on YouTube. If I see something that's like 17 minutes, I'm like 17 minutes, who's got that time? Especially if you don't know it. So you keep that short. Then if you want more, then you're like, okay, now on an audio only version, then they'll go there. And then if you like, hey, we gave out some numbers, with some context, I wrote an article, then you can get really nerdy about like your graphs there. So like to me, that's another reason why you should use several mediums for your content, because you could kind of send everyone everywhere if you want to, but you kind of cover your basis of what everyone wants, and you're not doing extra work. Like you're not making you're not making 3 different kinds of content. You're making one thing about this one thing that I care about, and I'm giving 3 people 3 different kinds of options to consume that content.
Learning so much in this podcast. I swear, like I'm doing everything wrong. No, I'm just kidding. You know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, there are so many steps to just making sure that like your content gets out there and that that you're not just doing it to do it, that you're doing it because you have an audience and that you have people that actually want to listen to your content, watch your content, and take it in. And like how important is like having that kind of community, that kind of audience base when you want to get to that level that you're at right now.
Yeah, and believe it or not, I learned that from Dave Kluge and Jeff Bell are the best at that, because they have written articles. So like when they come on a podcast, they are already sharp, like they know what they're saying, and then they don't have to spend time, just chewing on your ear on it, and they could just be like, hey, I wrote this article, just go check it out if you want more, but here's this. So again, like we're all learning from each other. So I can't even take 100% credit. Jeff Bell and Dave Cluey are two of the best at doing them.
Yeah, they really are. Those guys are awesome. So shout out. Okay, so have you ever been to the Fantasy Football Expo?
This year will be my first year. I've had FOMO. I've had FOMO for 2 years. So
yeah, I get it.
It ends now.
Exciting. Awesome. Yeah. Then I get to see you in person. That's exciting. Yeah. So yay. Awesome. I'm sure you've heard nothing but good things with the FOMO and everything. I'm sure you've heard that it's so looking forward to that. Okay, what do you like to do, in your free time? Because when you have free time, I know it's kind of hard to come by, but when you have the free time.
Like I said, I mentioned the gym, but I'm a big nerd. So I love everything about writing in general and art. So if, when I do have my free time, collect comic books. So I like to write comic books. I like to read them. I like to read in general. So like, that's where I like to be at, is doing that. And went to school for film. So I spend a lot of time watching stuff. Like it helps working from home because I'll just have something rolling in the office. So like, if you really want to get me rambling, like let's bring up like a comic book, anything, or bring up something about it. Like if it was nominated for an Oscar, I could probably we'd have a whole hour pod on that. That's what I like to do, is kind of the opposite of sports at that point. Like if I'm not in the gym or talking about sports, I would rather be with art. And then like my girlfriend's a really good home chef, so we cook a lot. So like I said, if you guys ever follow me on Instagram, I'm constantly cooking, making basic stuff because I'm on a diet. Pretty boring, but like Amy still makes incredible food, so I'm eating and reading.
What's your favorite thing to make?
Favorite thing to make, probably curry, because I'm gotten pretty good at it, and it's easy to make, and I can make it in bulk, so I really enjoy making it. But like, if I really want to challenge myself, I like to make like fancy breakfasts, like brunch style stuff. Like we got to work on technique, like making a hollandaise sauce, stuff like that. And then I'm Southern at heart, so like in the summertime, I am outside grilling, smoking meat. Like I'm primarily consuming just hot pork, something like that.
Hot pork. I got an episode title. I don't title the episodes, but that might be. No, I'm just kidding. Oh man. Okay, and when you're at the gym, what do you like to listen to when you're working out?
The first half I listen to music, and that depends on what DJ I have. Like I listen like your pump up stuff, like metal and like rap about selling crack and killing people, stuff like that. But like I either switch to like Billy Joel or like really chill stuff, or an audiobook to the second half of my workout. Cause I'm in the gym for like 3 hours. Like I'm like, all right, I'm tired of like music. I will switch over to a book or something. I don't do podcasts at the gym so much. What's weird is I listen to like our industry podcasts, or relevant ones, but like that's almost like another form of work, like, all right, I'm gonna listen to Daniel Jeremiah or something like that, or I'll listen, and especially if someone I know of yours, I listen to yours because it doesn't feel like so much just a fantasy podcast, because it's not, like I'm getting to learn people. Same thing with like Dr. Murray, his pod, getting learning about other people that I don't get to talk to on that level at all. But mainly books is what I listen to, like a lot. Like I consume a lot of audiobooks, a lot, because like if I'm reading, it's like a comic book or a graphic novel. So like my novels, most of the time I will get in the gym or at home through an audiobook.
Yeah, podcast. I don't actually listen to very many podcasts anymore, or like ever anymore, because once I stopped working where I was working, like I listened to podcasts for like 8 hours a day, and music, podcast and music. And now it's just like, I don't have time. And I don't go to the gym, so I don't have anywhere to listen to a podcast. And so we're just chilling. Okay, back to like just kind of some fantasy football talk, just to kind of see where you are now with fantasy. What is your favorite like league setting or type of league, or something about fantasy football that you're a fan of right now?
Plain Jane Dynasty Superflex. I do like like PPR, tight end premium, but I really liked Scott Fishbowl settings last year. So I've started making my dynasty leagues kind of like that because I really like the points per carry. That's what I like. Empire leagues, it depends. One of my favorite leagues is a Pokemon themed Empire League.
Oh, hey.
Meaning to like if you don't know what Empire League is, you have to meet a certain conditions to win the big pot. You know, like half the pot will go to the Empire pot, half the pot will go to the yearly pot. And then like for this one, you have to win all your Pokemon badges and then win the league to win the pot. So like this can go on for a long time. And it's it's crazy complicated. Let's put it that way, because there's way because like you can get a badge, and let's say like one badge you get to use an extra tight end, like stuff like that. You know,
Wow.
so it's a really fun element, and I love Pokemon, so it's like I get to be a nerd two ways at once. So
Boom. That's awesome. That is awesome. If you could create a fantasy football league and just have anybody in it, who would you select to be in? It could be a famous person, an athlete. It could just be a person in industry, whatever. If you could select one person, handpick them, who would it be?
to be in a fantasy league with Dave Chappelle would be up there. I think it'd be fun commentary in the sleeper chat. One from my own company, Sigmund Bloom. When you edit Sig's stuff, you hear the stuff that isn't on the pod. I would go to so many festivals and party with that dude that like anything to do more with that guy. So those would be my top two for sure.
And have you played any other fantasy sports besides fantasy football, or is fantasy football the only one that you've played?
I played basketball and really enjoyed it, but I dominated that league, so it ended.
Oh, and so it ended.
Yeah.
Wah, wah. Tends to happen. It tends to happen. Well, before we go, I'm going to let you plug all your stuff, but I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on the show. Like, I was so happy that you said, okay, yeah, you signed it up, got in here, and we got to chat it up. But before we go, can you just let everybody know again, like where they can find your stuff, what you got going on, and where they can follow you?
You could follow me on Twitter at Fantasy Blue Chip. All my stuff gets posted there, but I am completely sold out. All my stuff's on Footballguys. I don't even post my own TikTok anymore. I just post there.
Honest.
Me and Alfredo are working on our rookie profiles, but again, we're talking about that content. Those are short little tidbits. If you want the real hardcore stuff, Jeff, Christian, and Kevin and Jay made our rookie guide, so look out for that. We're basically in rookie mode right now. So that's all I could think about. I can't think past May right now.
Hey, that's all you need to do right now. I know it's a lot going on. How excited are you for the draft?
I can't wait for it to get here. So
there you go. All right, everybody. Seriously though, Fantasy Blue Chip, go check out everything that Jagger's got going on. All the stuff over with Footballguys, A+ stuff. So I am 2 thumbs upping that. Everybody, thank you so much again for coming here and listening to Get Real with Kacey Kasem. Please make sure to come back next week, listen to another episode, and also remember to stay rad.
Get real. Time to get real, everybody.